Change.
Of what appeared to be chocolate.
I hear it
Here
now.
now. Okay, here now. Okay.
The president yesterday went out for ice cream. Ice cream. Ice cream. Ice cream. Ice cream. Two scoops and a waffle cone.
All I have to do is run a country of 350 million.
Having the time to stop by, get some ice cream. This as, of course, chaos is erupting across our own nation and now abroad.
Is it appropriate at this time, Vladimir Putin watching this commander-in-chief chomping on ice cream?
Why is Putin doing this? Because he knows Biden's weak. Biden would rather have ice cream with somebody rather than stand up for Americans.
Joe Biden's weakness,
It's just
his feebleness, his love of ice cream.
We've got inflation through the roof, and the White House gets ice cream.
Even in the most dire crises, there's always a little time for ice cream.
The world is falling apart thanks to his weakness, and Joe Biden gets ice cream. Look at that, a double scoop there.
A double
Joe is
scoop.
not fit to serve. U.S. presidents don't just hang out at ice cream parlors and then call it a day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That is not normal.
It's also not normal for a grown man who's working a full-time job to go out on a Tuesday afternoon in January to get an ice cream cone.
And a double scoop, no less.
Two
Who
scoops
gets
of
ice
chocolate
cream in
ice
the
cream.
winter?
Yeah, it's 25 degrees in D.C.
It's just so stupid.
Oh my god.
It's so stupid. It's just.
See, I never saw that one. That one's way better. Oh, that's Daily Show, of course.
Well, yeah. So
I
there
never
was
saw
some
that one.
editing, but like,
Wow, that's great, man. That's hilarious.
it's
You know, it
just.
actually makes me feel better about Joe Biden. If he's eating ice cream, he's his doctors are okay in that shit, right?
I mean, it's just. Oh my god! It's just how terrible. Like, it's the fucking Obama tan suit all over again. Like,
I was
who
just thinking that,
the
yeah.
fuck cares if he's going out to get some fucking ice cream? Who cares? It's an odd choice that he's going out in January, as they said, in the middle of winter to get some ice cream. I'll give you that. But who actually cares? It's like, just Jesus fucking Christ. Is
Yeah,
there
I
not
mean-
enough going on in the fucking country that you have
At
some,
least he's
like,
out in the normal world. Shit. I mean, Trump was hiding up in his what do they call it? His abode in the White House, whatever they call it, and watching Fox News for most of his working day.
But yes,
You know, like-
yes, for the first couple of years of his presidency, anyway, until they kind of turned on him and they were like, "Oh
Yeah,
no, that
yeah,
we
until
don't
it
want
was-
that." You know what I mean?
We found out that he was doing it, so they changed up his schedule.
Well, they changed up his schedule, but
they
then
called it personal
until
time. Yeah, it was personal.
called it personal time. But then until like Fox News did the mildest of all criticisms of him, and then it was, oh no, fuck Fox News. Fox News are awful. They're terrible. They do nothing but lie. Apart from the first couple of years of the presidency, because I actually agree with that, and that like did me favorably. But until then, no. After this, they're fucked. They're gone. They're dead. They're bad. Right? Until fucking OAN and fucking Newsmax came along. Then they're but it's just like it's ice cream.
Yeah.
Just shut the fuck up. Who actually, like, those were some big names as well. It wasn't like it was like a fucking slow news day in like one of the morning shows or whatever else, and it was like, well, we've nothing else to talk about. We might as well drum up the fact that fucking Biden went for ice cream. No, this was fucking Sean Hannity. Like, and like, like a nighttime news. Like, what is it? Hannity's on just before Tucker. Is it? I actually watch Fox. I don't know.
I think Hannity's after Tucker. I think he's right after him, maybe.
But like, that's even almost kind of worse because that's later on into the night. Like, that's when you're getting like developments of ongoing stories. That's when you're getting like, you know what I mean, the latest headlines and stuff like that. Like, he should have been like, of all the things that he had to cover, and he was no phony outrage because he went and got a double scoop of ice cream.
Yeah, it doesn't really
Jesus
surprise
Christ.
me from Hannity. I listen to Hannity's talk show on the radio every day, and like he is the epitome of grifting hypocrite. Like he will literally criticize Joe Biden for doing the exact same things that Donald Trump did, but he was giving praise to Donald Trump for doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're exactly right. To see, like, I never saw that montage before. I'd seen just little clips of people talking shit about him eating ice cream. But to see all of these people like in prime time, a lot of that was like their Fox and Friends, their morning show that's super popular with all the old people in America. Like that's these are their prime time shows, and they're talking about freaking ice cream when all you got to do is talk. I mean, if you want to talk about Biden's weakness, just talk about how the Democrats haven't passed nothing. Like that's how you win. Ice cream doesn't do it. To me, that makes me like, that's that old Bush montage. Like, he's somebody you can go and have a beer with. No, Joe Biden's like literally showing he'll show up at your local ice cream shop. To me, that helps Biden. I don't see why you even concentrate on. I wouldn't look at that at all.
Yeah, it's that, but it's like,
but you're cool with taking shit from the White House,
Yeah. Look.
Holy shit, man.
I just
we live in the Twilight Zone, Steven.
Like we fucking have to, like this whole thing. And like, look, this is a slight tangent or whatever, right? But it's like everybody has heard of like the multiverse theory, right? That there's like an infinite number of universes, and they're all, like slightly better or slightly worse, and it goes on like a spectrum where you have like the best of all possible outcomes. We have to. I mean, we fucking have to be living in the worst possible fucking universe. Like, just have to be. Of all the stuff historically that has gone on, like how much fucking human enslavement there was. The fact that, people with a certain pigment in their fucking skin up until ludicrously fucking recently were viewed as second-class citizens. Women didn't have the fucking right to vote. All of this shit. The fact that someone as obnoxiously stupid and bad at everything he's ever done in life, like Trump, can get elected and be the most powerful person on this planet for 4 fucking years. Like, this has to be the worst of all like it just, I can't imagine it getting any worse than that. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't.
This world to me has always seemed shitty, but I've always been kind of like a realist, and I've always been aware of like, the world. Most Americans, they're just focused on their general areas where they live. Like I remember back in the Bush days when I tried to talk to like just normal people, my family, about George Bush, and they didn't even want to hear it back then. It's always been this mentality in America where most people just don't care. But for me, like, I've always been able to look at the world and just see, man, shit. Like, how can you look at the situation in Yemen and say, this is God's perfect world here? This is the best. This is the best that his plan could have brought us. Like, you can't look at it like that. I'm with you. I think if the multiverse exists, if we're not the worst, we're right down there.
Yeah,
with it, right?
Definitely. We're, you know what I mean? Top 10 worst, definitely, right? And that's being generous. Like, it's okay.
I was watching this documentary on Spielberg, and it got into the whole Schindler's List thing, and talking about making Schindler's List, and just noting that Schindler saved 1,100 Jews. It's a true story. He saved 1,100 Jews, and that makes him a hero, and it does, but just on the scale of it all, that's nothing on the scale of what the Holocaust was. And the fact that there is no way that we don't live in the shittiest of them all. And I want the new girl's powers from Marvel. I can't remember her name right now, but she has the power to go to all the different universes. I want to go to
America
the good
Chavez.
One. Yeah,
America Chavez. Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. That'd be that'd be one hell of a fucking superpower right there, definitely.
Yeah. Just find the communist one and we're good.
But
the real communist one, not the Stalinism one.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Next up for reaction time. Now, as I have said 100 times on this channel, and as I will probably say 100 times more, if I have watched a video, I will tell you that I have watched it. If I haven't, I will tell you that I haven't. I haven't watched this.
Yeah, neither have I.
However, it's Tommy Lahern, and she is reacting to the FBI raid, so it's only going to be good. Like, there's no way is this not going to be amazing.
TYT, they stole my soul when they named her Barbie doll Nazi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still, if I'm like tweeting back to her, like if she's made a tweet and I'm responding to her, I will still always put in the hashtag discount Barbie. Because she is a discount Barbie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you have the actual Barbie, and then you have the dollar store version of Barbie. She costs half as much, but, you know, and yeah.
Yeah, the best thing about her is every once in a while the grift lifts and like she'll say something that she really thinks and feels, like something in support of women, or one time she said something in support of abortion, and oh my God, it was the end of the world. And you know, it's like you guys have to, like, I have to tell the right. She's a grifter. She doesn't really believe the things she tells you. She just tells you them.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's just like there is so many of these like super popular people on the right that are just like grifting pieces of shit. Like, they don't actually believe this. They're being paid to tell you. You know? Like, it's why you have the fucking Candace Owenses of the world, because a white guy can't go on video and say slavery wasn't really that bad, or, you know, America was one of the first countries to abolish it. It was actually one of the last, but that's anyway. Like, they can't get a white guy to go out and do that because they're going to face unimaginable amounts of backlash. But they can get someone, you know, who is black to go out there and say that, because it seems more, you know, socially or culturally acceptable for them to do that. But like, it's just, she doesn't actually think this. She's being paid to say it. Like that, like that's the worst. Like, that should be so much more of a bigger deal than I think people kind of realize, or that they give it credit for, because, you know, we have people on the left, right? And like, I'm talking about on the left now. I'm not talking about your Democrats. I'm not talking about your people, the judges, or your Bidens, or anything else like that of the world. I'm talking about people on the left. When they go out and they say something.
You mean Republicans?
Yeah.
I call them Republicans. They call themselves Democrats, but they're Republicans.
True. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, policy for policy, they definitely are. Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah.
When Bernie Sanders goes out there and says something, that's what he actually believes. No one's paying him to say this. That's what he actually thinks. But you don't get people who are like on the left who have some big fucking think tank or some billionaires behind them that are paying them to say this, whereas you are littered with it on the right. Littered with it on the right. You have Dave Rubin. He was a fucking co-host of TYT, and then because he saw the fucking dollar signs, now he switched to the right. And like, he will go out there. He sat down with Ben Shapiro and didn't fight back as anybody would when he asked Ben, would he go to his gay wedding? And Ben was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Just because it's gay.
He gets
friendship.
surprised, like,
fuck the
people attack him. You know, he placates all these bigots and then announces that him and his husband have adopted children, and can't understand why his base hates him for that. Like, you placate bigots. You know, like, just go spend your money and shut up, because this is exactly what you asked for.
Yeah, it's well, yes, absolutely. I mean, they had to know. Like, you have to know, if you go out there and you say the things that you say as the person that you are, that when you do what's in your best interests, or to do something to improve your life, like adopting a child, you're going to get backlash from that, because that's, but the only reason that you do get backlash from it is because the people that you are speaking to in any other context fucking hates you. They don't want you to be in the United States. They don't want you living near them or next to them or anything else like that. They like what you say because it backs up what you already believe. But I mean, like, anybody can fucking do that. Yeah. Anybody could do that. You could go to fucking, you know, like, I could go to England and be like, well, you guys kind of controlling our country and having us all, it wasn't really that bad. If I have people paying me to say that, and then I go back to Ireland and I get fucking mad because I'm, like having shit thrown at me and I'm having people in the street call me a piece of shit, I don't get to be outraged by that. Of course that was going to happen. It's like...
Yeah, it makes no sense to be outraged about it. Candace Owens is another one. Tommy Loren is another one. All of these people, even the people like that are on Fox News, like most of them, I don't think really believes the things that they say or report. There's a few of them, like that Judge Janine chick. Like I think I've never watched her, but yeah, I could see her being cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But most of these people are just in it for the money. There's always those people that out there that they want to watch the world burn. That's why we have an oil industry. And that's why we can get nothing done on climate change. People want to destroy the world for profit, and there's plenty of people that are willing to allow them to do it just so they can watch the world burn.
Yeah, well, look, I think that we could talk about this for quite some time. I think that I've poisoned my audience by looking at a freeze frame of her stupid face for quite some time now. So let's just...
The FBI raids Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. If you think weaponizing the FBI, the Justice Department, the federal government against a political rival was reserved only for communist nations, banana republics, if you will, well, you haven't been paying much attention since Donald J. Trump came down that escalator to announce his candidacy in 2015. They've been on witch hunt after witch hunt against him every waking moment since, and this is just an escalation of that. As part of a lengthy statement, former President...
But it's not really witch hunts, though, because, like, even though the whole kind of Mueller report and the Mueller investigation and whatever else, I think that, look, an awful lot of people got their hopes up, like, way too much, almost, because, they thought, that, like, Mueller was going to be the reason why Trump was forced to leave the White House in handcuffs, right? That, like, that's what they kind of got in their minds, right? Now, obviously that didn't happen, but the Mueller investigation got a lot of people from Trump's inner circle, and I think that people kind of like gloss over that way the fuck too easy. Like, how many times have you heard someone on the right saying, oh, well, that was just a big nothing burger, nothing happened out of that, it was a waste of taxpayer money, etc., etc., etc. It's like no, like he got a lot of fucking people for that, people who are still in prison because of the Mueller report. Like,
well, yeah, and he basically punted it. I mean, he in his report, he says that Trump was clearly doing wrong and pretty much punted it to the Justice Department on whether or not to seek an indictment for it. I think he recommended not to because he's a Republican and he says there's no precedence to indict a sitting president. But if the sitting president is a traitor, just because there's no precedence for it doesn't mean you should stop him from selling the nuclear codes to Russia, right? No, you should indict him. You should get him out of office. It doesn't make any sense. But, like, that's what I was telling people back in the Mueller days is, like, don't forget, like, Mueller's a lifelong Republican. He's a Republican's Republican, like, he's not going to, he might not like Trump, or he might find Trump guilty of things. But I never expected that he would be the downfall of Trump, because he's not gonna do anything that's gonna destroy the Republican Party. Like, he's a Republican. He's not gonna do that.
Yeah, no, look, absolutely true. Absolutely, like, but I mean, the position that Mueller was in, like, he had to do his job by doing that investigation. Yeah, absolutely, they got
a lot of information.
Yeah,
and anybody that tries to say that Trump was not connected to Russia, I think, like, for one, you haven't examined what Mueller put out, but for two, he wasn't exonerated. It was just like you were never going to get Trump in direct communications with Russian, you're not going to get Trump being an asset of the Russians. What you're going to get is what we saw in real time. You saw it in real time. Trump asked for help, and they're going to help, and they're going to influence the election in whatever way that they can. And we saw that actually happened. There's no like falseness there. Like we saw it happen. It actually happened. Mueller's report reflected that.
Yeah, but look, I mean, yeah, I just don't like the fact that people like still to this day say, oh, that was just a waste of taxpayer dollars because like nothing kind of happened or whatever else. Mr. Willis has just popped up in chat to say that he is sorry that he is late. I will forgive you on this occasion, but I mean, if it happens again, I mean, like, you've been warned, basically. You've been warned. Anyway, we just to kind of catch you up, we're talking about the raid on Mar-a-Lago, the outrage from conservatives. They are absolutely piss-shitting and coming all at the same time. Yeah, we are reacting to, depending on like which kind of name you like, Discount Barbie, Nazi Barbie, yeah, Tommy Lahern, despicable human being. But there we go. Let's continue.
President Trump correctly noted, quote, "These are dark times for our nation, as my beautiful home, Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida, is currently under siege, raided, and occupied by a large group of FBI agents. Nothing like this has ever happened to a president of the United States before." What happened to Donald Trump is not only unjustified, incomprehensible, and reprehensible, but possibly even illegal. But do you think...
What?
Yeah, this is why you don't open your mouth before you have all the information, Barbie. You probably didn't understand that this was a federal judge that signed a probable cause warrant. There was probable cause to go in and do what they did. That is the definition of a legal raid.
Unjustified and possibly illegal. Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, we said it earlier in the stream. He was fucking, like, he was subpoenaed. He knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
It's
just,
in
January,
oh my God.
He was supposed to, they gave him a chance to turn over all of this shit, not face any legal repercussions. So in January, he turns over everything. And they're like, no, you didn't turn over everything, right? So they subpoena him for more, for the rest of what's still there. He refuses to give it to them. Of course, they're going to raid Mar-a-Lago. They're going to. They have to. You've left them no choice.
Yeah, like, if like, you've put people in a position where, like, that's the, where that's the only choice that they have left, you don't get to then go out and fucking cry about it. Like, sorry, you don't. Like, it's...
Yeah, and his dumbass, like, it wasn't even over, like, the January 6th shit. Merrick Garland said, that's not what the raid was for. But now they might have gotten January 6th shit. Like, you opened yourself up. You put yourself up even more damage when if you would have just complied, nothing probably would have ever came from it. You would probably never faced any repercussions whatsoever, but you didn't. And now they probably got information that actually goes to the January 6th thing.
What? Yeah, because, like...
They're idiots.
That was definitely something that was kind of brought up in the run-up to, or like in the first hour or two when like we knew nothing other than it's been raided, where people were kind of talking about, like, it was something else. If we have time for it, we might kind of go over like some highlights or some clips or whatever, only because like it's very kind of interlinked. But people were kind of talking about, because during the Alex Jones trial, have you seen that, Rage? Have you seen any bits of it or anything?
Only just a little snippet about him, like his own lawyer releasing information that they didn't want released and shit. Yeah.
So basically, that was 2 years of text messages, right? But 2 years of text messages is going back to the lead up of January 6th, where Alex Jones was outside and was kind of like cheering people on and whatever else, and he was saying like, "No, we're gonna do this, yada 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 yada." it was way too quick to be that, right? And even though I did kind of like on Twitter, I did kind of speculate that kind of might have been one of the reasons why, it was way too quick for that to be the reason. There was no way. But it's definitely something that's going to be fucking coming up. Like, this is because it was a civil suit and it wasn't a criminal trial. The information that the plaintiff's lawyer has, which is 2 years of his text messages, he can give that to basically fucking anyone. He can put that on a Google Doc and tweet it out if he wants to. You know, like, that is...
I read somewhere that, like, Alice Jones had sent a naked picture of his wife to Roger Stone. Like, holy shit, dude. How shitty are you?
Yeah. Just...
wow. And why does Roger Stone want that? Like, why? I just don't understand people.
But it's just like, why the fuck would you, like, I don't even know, man. Just like, why would you even do that? You know what I mean? Like, even if I'm not like, if someone had texted me, right? If one of my friends had texted me and just been like, here, son, send us on a fucking naked photo of your missus there. You want to fuck off, son.
Yeah,
like, absolutely no way. What the fuck are you talking about? I'm not going to disrespect her by doing that. The fuck are you talking about? I'm not going to be like, yeah, no problem. Here's a fucking right sexy one. The lighting on it. Oh, no, it's proper good. Like, how do you do that? But look, anyway.
Tangent. Yeah, but it's like he speaks to the quote unquote family values party, right?
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, it's just, yeah, I don't get it either, man. But yeah, tangent. Sorry.
Yeah, no. Look, it was my fault. Anyway, we'll get back to Nazi Barbie.
Ireland's DOJ cares? Of course not. They've been gunning for that man for over 7 years now, and this raid proves they will stop at nothing to stop him. They started out just labeling him a racist, a bigot, and misogynist, and his supporters deplorables. When that didn't work, they moved on to FISA courts, bogus dossiers, wiretapping, and more. Then they got their precious Mueller investigation, a nothing burger. No collusion, no...
There we go. I mean, like, look, again, these people are so fucking predictable that even though, you know what I mean, I'm sure there's at least one person who is watching or who is going to watch this that's just been like, oh no, Stephen's lying. When he says that he hasn't watched these videos, he's lying. He has watched them. He's taken notes and he knows what to say. Like, I genuinely don't. But it's just like, they're so fucking, like, they've been saying this, her specifically has been saying this for a long fucking time, that it was, as she literally just said, a nothing burger. It was not a nothing burger. There is several people who are currently serving time in prison because of the Mueller investigation. You don't get to... If there was a Mueller investigation against Clinton, right? Against Hillary Clinton, and she personally didn't have to serve time, but people around her, people in her immediate circle, people in her cabinet did. They were like sentenced to time. Do you seriously think that they're going to say, oh, that it was a nothing burger? Of course the fuck they're not. They're going to say we didn't get the outcome we wanted, but we did get, you know, XYZ. It's...
Yeah, it makes... I mean, Flynn was a former general of the United States. I think he was in the Defense Department at the time, having dealings with the Ukrainian government under the former president, not Zelensky, but the former president, when it was much more corrupt. Like, Zelensky ran on a platform of getting rid of the corruption that Flynn was a part of, right? Manafort, the same fucking thing. Like, you know, all of these people were conspiring with other foreign governments while they were in positions of political power here in the country and not reporting that. That is, I mean, again, like, back to what we were saying before, if Democrats did that, if Hillary Clinton, imagine Hillary Clinton doing something like that as Secretary of State under Obama, how that the Republicans would lose their heads. But no, now it's because it's them. These aren't traitors to the country. They're just good old Americans. And why are you coming at, like, no, these people committed crimes. And there might not have been enough information. I think that there was enough information. I think Mueller was just scared to indict Trump and punted it to Congress. But even then, like, it laid out like Trump's involvement. We know that they had the meeting in the Trump Tower. I mean, we know that it's not a nothing burger. You know, like there was a lot of information that came out of that, and if you have the time, maybe one of these days when I'm old, I'll take the time and actually read the whole report because it's like thousands of pages long.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but it's just the sheer fact that they continually say no, that there was nothing that happened here.
Yeah.
There was nothing at like it.
It's that post-truth era we live in now. You know, Trump didn't invent it, but he made it. If you just, you know, he popularized it, and he showed all of these people that if you just say a thing enough, the dummies of the country will believe it because they want to believe it, not because there's any evidence to believe it. So yeah, I mean, it's the post-truth era that we live in now, and it's going to be hard to. Yeah, we can't even agree on what truth is anymore. It's insane.
Yeah, no, look, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, there's like fucking nothing else to say. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they are kind of getting used to that though, because they're like now they just kind of don't run away from it. They just say, "Oh, not a crime." You know, Trump takes documents out of the White House, not a crime. Defund the FBI.
Yeah, look. All I can say on this is that I like for watching her specifically, I'm nowhere near high enough, so I'm gonna change that.
Good. Yeah, I've been smoking this whole time. Kind of gotta.
I mean, we're watching Tommy Lahern, like you kind of have to. But anyway,
no, I'm on my last little bit. I'm gonna be quitting. It's gonna suck.
Oh shit, man! Really? Like.
Yeah.
Oh,
I quit. I'm quitting smoking, everything. So yeah, I got my last little bit of weed, and after that, it's not fun times for a week or two.
Shit. Well, look, I mean, you know, fair play and best of luck to you. That's all I can fucking say.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'm just I'm old now, and I need to get healthy. I can't be this unhealthy person. I'm gonna die too young if I don't do something. So.
No, fair enough.
A nothing burger, no collusion, no obstruction, a waste of taxpayer dollars. But still they kept on. Russia became Shampeachment 1, followed by Shampeachment 2. That didn't work, and neither did kicking him off all social media platforms, attempting to silence and censor him to cut him off from his millions of supporters. They vote by mail their puppet Joe Brandon into office, but that wasn't enough either.
Like this whole thing about like fucking mail-in voting as well. I mean, like Republicans have won elections where the majority of ballots cast have been by mail-in voting. You don't get to say that this favors fucking Jesus. Like, I just get embarrassed, especially when this particular talking point comes up, because, right, as if anybody, you know, who's watching or who is subscribed, especially subscribed, doesn't know already. I'm Irish. I live in Ireland. Okay? I know that just because of the sheer nature of what is literally involved, counting mail-in votes takes a little bit fucking longer because it's not on a computer and it's not instantly registered. You need a team, hundreds, thousands of people to count all of these votes. So it takes time for this to trickle in. That doesn't mean that there's, you know what I mean, corruption. It doesn't mean that it's unfair. It doesn't mean that it's like, oh, well, Trump won a certain state in a landslide, and now because of all these mail-in votes, now Dark Brandon is starting to run. Like, dude, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, well, it's classic projection. Of course, the party that actually tries to steal elections and has actually stolen elections is going to claim that the other party is the one that does that. And what I'm referring to is 2000. They stole that election from Al Gore. Al Gore won Florida. He won Florida. There's no doubt about it. They stopped the recount because they knew he won Florida, and the Supreme Court, Trump, Bush's daddy's Supreme Court, pretty much stole that election. This is the party that steals elections.
Mm-hmm.
And they're afraid of mail-in voting becoming popular or becoming like a normalcy, because they understand that if people actually had access to vote, that that silent minority that the Republican parties have ruled under for the last 70 years, it would be gone. Because people don't go vote. They don't go vote because they don't want to go stand in line. You know, a third of the country does. A third of the country does. 2/3 of the country doesn't. If you take that option away, if they don't have to go stand in line, well, Republican Party would not exist. It would not exist. It would be if they wanted to continue to exist, they would have to come back to the middle, because everybody's voting. Nobody's. You can win with when it's only a third of the country voting, you can win with very extreme political ideas.
Yeah, look, yes to everything like that you've just said, absolutely. I've said this previously, and I kind of just want to kind of say it again. I genuinely think, give it 5, maximum 10 years, and the Republican Party is fucked beyond belief. Because I personally think that when it comes to things like organizing, like protests, like advocating for change, when it comes to political involvement, Gen Z is one of the most progressive, it's the most progressive, but it's one of the most politically involved generations that I think I've ever fucking seen. So you wait a little while until every single one of those people are able to walk into a voting booth and cast a vote. You're fucked. You're fucked. Because the vast, overwhelming majority of them are ridiculously progressive. Ridiculously progressive.
Yeah.
So you wait until it's their time. Dunzo.
Well, even the Generation X generation, I think we called ourselves like the outcast generation. We all just like straight up rebelled against our parents. It was insane. But like, they're afraid to hand over power to us right now. The baby boomers are holding on to power, and it's outrageous. We've never had presidents this old before in the history of the country, and now it's back to back. We're having these very ancient old people holding on to power. They're not wanting to give it up to the next generation. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think given the natural course of events, you give it 5 to 10 years, unless they just go outright against their political donors and against the business class and become that grassroots party for the people, the working people that they could become, because the Democrats have kind of abandoned that. They're going to be out. They're going to be useless. There's not going to be a need for them, because people here are getting so much farther and farther into debt, because none of us are making any money. The system is going to break here naturally if left alone, and I think that's why they're going farther and farther right to authoritarianism, because they understand in order for them to keep power, they're going to have to take it, and they're going to have to keep it, and they're not going to be able to give it away, because if they continue in this traditional, peaceful transition of power that we've had with, if you lose elections, they're not going to be winning very many elections. They shouldn't be. But the thing you can say about the American populace is we're stupid. We're dumb. We don't understand that just because Biden is inept doesn't mean that you go out and vote for these really shitty Republicans, but that's what they're going to do here in November.
Yeah, well, look, yeah, I mean, all of what I've just said is the kind of, it's just one angle that is going to be kind of fixed, right? But there's an awful lot more that kind of will need to be fixed. Like, the DNC is going to need to be fixed massively. I mean, they've now twice fucked Bernie out of the nomination. Like, that needs, you know what I mean?
They're Republicans. They're corporate shills. That's why I said, we are having this infighting revolution in the Democratic Party between progressives and farther left people such as myself against these corporate hacks, these Republicans. That's what they are. They're Republicans. They're corporate hacks. They're not for the Democratic Party is more and more Silicon Valley and not working class. And that's, you can't do that. You have to be that staunch opposition. That's just another difference between us and the Republicans is we are having that internal fight. Sooner or later, I do believe that the progressives, a more progressive Democratic Party is going to exist, and I think it's going to be sooner than later. But again, it's even with that, it's these baby boomers not wanting to give up power. It's Nancy Pelosi and Schumer and when these next waves of political politicians come into office, and we're already starting to see them in the AOCs and the squad, influenced by Bernie Sanders, who he's a damn socialist. He admits it. Doesn't go far enough with it, in my opinion. But we're having that struggle to where on the right it's just farther and farther right they go, and then those few moderates that left behind, well, they just they get absorbed by those corporate shill Democrats, and you see it. Joe Walsh, all of these people that stood against Trump, this Kinzinger, but after he leaves office, he'll stop calling himself a Republican. He'll become one of these corporate shill, quote unquote, moderate Democrats that are killing the party.
Yeah, look, absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. But anyway, once again, we have been freeze framed on her stupid face for far too long. So
yeah, we both. I like to talk too goddamn much. I admit it. Sorry.
You're fine, man. I do as well. No problem.
There, folks, like dogs with a bone, they kept on. The January 6th hearings were just supposed to be their coup de grace, but still, it didn't work. Which leads us to this movement, this raid, this disgrace. Are you all seeing what I'm seeing? Biden, a man that can't figure out how to put on a jacket, let alone run a country, is on his way down and out. His approval ratings plummeting by the day. We, the American people, are left unhappy, cash-strapped, and in danger from our open border and our lawless streets. So what to do? What to do? Torpedo the man, the former president, the true leader with perhaps the best chance of riding back into the White House in 2024. This is all calculated, all part of the plan. Another distraction, another witch hunt. The Democrats quietly...
Wait, is she trying to say that Biden orchestrated this whole thing?
Yeah, I think that's what she's trying to say. Yeah.
Is she that stupid? That she thinks that Biden had anything to do? She does realize that this was the head of the FBI that Trump appointed that approved this raid, who got a warrant from a judge legally. Biden had absolutely nothing to do with this.
Yeah, a federal judge in the 3rd district. I think most of them are. I would go out of my way to say a Republican judge in Florida. 3rd district. This isn't the 9th district. This isn't the liberal court, right? This is the 3rd district. I think it's probably safe to assume that it's probably a Republican judge that signed off on it because there was probable cause. It was a probable cause warrant. That means they had probable cause to do it. She can't be that stupid. She just can't be.
But I mean, the problem is that it's not just her. It's not just her. There's so many other people. Like you would kind of said,
it's their talking point. Yeah.
You would kind of said there, briefly that if you had kind of known about this, before it kind of as it was hot news, the amount of arguments on Twitter, that you would have been in.
Yeah.
I was in all of those fucking arguments, all of them, man. There is so many people who are saying that no, that Biden did this. This is Biden's fault. He was the man behind it. If the president has the ability to instruct the FBI to carry out a raid on anybody, right? Much less, and look, if Biden has the ability to be able to get a former president and a potential political rival to have their house raided, why the fuck, for 4 fucking years after leading people in the chant of lock her up, why didn't Trump instruct the FBI to raid the Clintons' house? Why? Like, like, if they actually have that ability, which of course they don't, but if they did, why the fuck didn't he do that? It just makes no sense.
And we know, like, he tried to do shit like that, and they pretty much told him, hell no, I'm not sacrificing my career for that. You fire me and hire somebody else that would do it. And he was pressuring Barr, but yeah, again, it's like classic projection, right? Like you just nailed it right there on its head. They were literally, that's what they wanted Trump to do. They wanted Trump to force his Justice Department to go and arrest Hillary Clinton. They were mad when he didn't do it, right? And he probably tried, and they told him, like, no, we're not doing that. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You shouldn't even be here right now. Some type of shit like that. Like, I could totally see that happening, but that's what they do. They know what they do, and they know what they've done. They just pretend to be ignorant of it, like they have no memory at all. That, just 4 years ago, they were chanting, lock her up. They wanted the president to lock up his political rival. And I think I just don't see Biden doing that. Like, I don't think Biden went to Merrick Garland. I think, if anything, Merrick Garland probably feels pressure to do this because of the January 6th committee. Like, I think if the January 6th committee doesn't happen, this raid never happens.
Yeah, no, true. There's just so much, but like literally just to say that this had anything to do with Biden is just the most.
Yeah.
It's just the most brain dead take that I've ever heard. Like, it's just so stupid.
And if so, you're supposedly a journalist, right? Like, I don't think they claim to be journalists, which is one of the major issues of Fox News, but whatever. But like, you have the resources. Like, so if you think that that's the truth, do the investigation. Be Bob Woodward, get the evidence. If you don't have the evidence for it, you shouldn't be able to go and espouse to millions of people that this is like the truth. It's not. Get the evidence or shut up. Like, you're just talking out of your ass.
Yeah. No, definitely. I just, let's. I'm bordering on being in physical pain, so we're just gonna burst on through. There's not too much left of it, thank fuck.
Cheered by rhinos are once again trying to end Donald Trump because they are so terrified he's going to run and beat their socks off in 2024. And they are weaponizing the FBI and the DOJ to do it. This is bigger than Donald Trump and Mar-a-Lago, folks. It should terrify every American how terrified the establishment is of Donald J. Trump. And make no mistake, once they perfect this tactic, they will weaponize it against all of us. Donald Trump is just the man, the pillar, the shield, standing in their way, and now they're doing all they can to dismantle him. But
so she thinks that people who break the law shouldn't be held accountable for what they did, and the FBI shouldn't raid them. They should stay the fuck out of it, because even though they did break the law, it doesn't actually matter. And look. If this was Trump, like, are we then able to say, oh, well, that, like, Trump was so terrified of Biden winning that's why he orchestrated a raid against Biden? Like, no, that's stupid. It's fucking brain dead. Biden, so far, look, almost every single U.S. president, Democrat and Republican, are war criminals. So they have broken, they're not exactly fucking squeaky clean. But Trump objectively broke the law, so he just shouldn't be held. See, he shouldn't be held to account. I thought that you guys were the Law and Order party. I thought that you guys were the Back the Blue. I thought that it's just
they don't stand for anything.
Yeah,
even the things that they say they do, they don't really stand for. But you're exactly right. Again, like, Trump literally dropped Moab, the mother of all bombs. The deadliest bomb we have that's not a nuclear weapon. He just dropped it so he could watch it go boom, killed innocent people. It was insane. Definitely. I criticized Barack Obama for his war crimes, especially when it comes to drones. It's beyond the pale compared to what Trump did as president. In Obama's whole 8 years doesn't compare to the 4 years of atrocities that Trump committed. But again, also right there again, we had just other classic projection, like saying that they're going to use this to now come after Trump supporters, when in fact they're the ones that are going after American citizens over ideology, right? Like they're the ones that are talking about locking up women for getting abortions or going to other states to get abortions. They're the ones that literally are trying to change the law to go after American citizens, but saying, "Oh, well, that's what we're trying to do." Of course, it's just disgusting, and it's all they've got. That's all they've got is to cry wolf. But it's that old story. The more and more you cry wolf, I truly think that even the idiots of the world most of those people are gonna eventually figure out that they're being duped. I hope anyway.
Well, yes, you would obviously hope, but I mean, for me, it's just the whole thing. Like, look, this is nothing just to do with politics. Like, this is me and my kind of day-to-day life. If there was one thing that I could Thanos style snap my fingers and get rid of, it would be hypocrisy, right? It's just there is nothing more frustrating, nothing in the world more frustrating than talking with someone who eventually goes on to be a hypocrite or to make a because it's just they were the ones shouting the loudest. Back the blue, Law and Order, like those were the two things that they were chanting for 2 fucking years. They have been chanting this. They have been touting this. And now when Back the Blue and Law and Order is being enacted, now they're talking about abolishing the FBI. It's a witch hunt. Yeah. There's nothing there. It's like, I can argue with you, right? If we have a disagreement, we can hash it out. We can have our disagreements. We can do all of that. But if you turn around and, 5 minutes after kind of saying, well, yeah, I'm in favor of like a universal healthcare system, but well, there's also all these downsides to it, so maybe we should kind of stick to the system we have now. If I'm arguing with someone like that, like, where the fuck do you go? Yeah, because if I start then to respond to that, how the fuck do I know that they're not going to change their fucking position again 2 minutes down the line? Like, there's no point in arguing with someone who is hypocritical. If you could stick to your fucking principles, which is what every single one of them should have done. It's what they should have done. It's like they've been shouting law and order, law and order, law and order. As soon as this happened, they should have been, well, I mean, this is literally what we asked for. If Trump did something bad, if he broke the law, we're the law and order party. So, hey, we're like not exactly maybe kind of washing our hands, but we're steering clear a little while.
Yeah, they're hypocritical even as they do it, because even as they were screaming the law and order, especially during the BLM protest and all of that shit that was going on. At the same time they were saying all that shit, they were rooting for Eamon Bundy to kill cops, right? When he took over the federal building in Washington, they were rooting for him to take out those cops. They wanted to see a gun battle. They wanted to martyr him and make him a hero forever, just like they did with Rittenhouse. So even as they claim law and order, in the very same breath, they're just being hypocritical as fuck and saying, yeah, Eamon, kill cops. There's no point arguing with them. They can't stand firm in their positions. They flip-flop. Just their positions aren't rational. There's even when you speak to them rationally, they won't agree. Like they won't give you anything. I found that out since I started talking to people on the internet. Yeah. It's just like the other side just won't give you anything on these things. Having an abortion conversation with somebody that is as smart as Cerberus Hex, and he won't budge on the minutest of things, unless it's hard. You can't argue with them.
But they've kind of put themselves in a position where you kind of where they have to be hypocritical. because like they've kind of aligned themselves with like Trump so much, and they've kind of said all this like back the blue stuff and whatever else. If you kind of even take Trump out of it, if you just look at the Jan 6 insurrection, how many cops died that day?
Oh yeah.
How many laws were broken that day? You know, like, they're the ones, again, like, I know I keep saying it, but keep in mind, this is the Law and Order party, where they went in with rope and with zip ties intent on kidnapping people. There's another law broken. They were outside with a literal fucking gallows chanting "Hang Mike Pence." There's another crime. They did all that the entire day. How many fucking laws were broken on that day? And they're still now saying, oh, well, like, First off, right, in the first couple of days since, there was a number of them out there saying, well, no, it wasn't actually MAGA people. No. It was Antifa, and it was the left.
Oh, yeah, they still say
But
that
now they
shit.
don't.
Yeah.
But when it came time for an investigation into it, well, no, you see, we don't really want an investigation, you see, because I know that it was Antifa, so what's really the point in doing an investigation if we already know? And then when the like actual trials happen and a lot of fucking shit is uncovered, it's like, well, no, you see, there's nothing really to kind of see here, so we're just not really going to talk about it because it makes us look bad. Law and Order party, you're a fucking joke of a party. Yeah. Not that the Democrats are too much fucking better, not that they have broken nearly as much fucking laws as they have, not at least in recent years, but they are literally a joke of a party. They try and come up with all these slogans with all of these kind of like things that they're gonna fucking, you know, stick to themselves. But as soon as the first opportunity comes up where something happens to a person that they like that goes against what they have called one of their principles for the last however long, they instantly abandon it, and it's like, no, person I like is innocent. It's just ridiculous. You should be fucking like how you're just not ashamed. I just genuinely don't know.
I don't understand it either. You know, I watched the I think it's a Netflix documentary, but I believe I watched it on HBO Max. But it's like the January 6th documentary where you get all like the footage. Like I think it was like the director that came into the hearings or whatever. And yeah, dude, I watched it live, right? I watched it live and I knew that it was messed up. And I've seen all the January 6th hearings, but until I actually watched that documentary and saw that inside footage, I didn't know how crazy and close it was. You know, they got their hands on actual senators, and probably like at that point would have probably killed any senator that they got their hands on, right? You know, by the time they finally made it to the inner sanctum. So, I mean, it was a much larger in scope than I ever thought it was when you look at that documentary and all the people that had stormed the Capitol. And you're right, because these are the people that bitched about civil rights protests for the last 2 years. People just simply asking for police not to shoot them, right? Like, or reacting to police killing citizens. And the just utter hypocrisy of it all. And the still support, or they'll still say that it's Antifa, or that it was staged, that, you know, like Nancy Pelosi or whatever. Like, no, like just shut up. You're dumb. Like you shouldn't even be allowed to vote if you think that this is the reality, right? Like, it's I don't know. Like you said earlier, there's no arguing with these types of folks anymore. You know, there's just can't argue with them.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, like, at certain times and in certain contexts, as fun as arguing with dumb people can be, it's just not fucking one of them. There's just nowhere to go. Like, it's not just about being dumb, right? Like, if like you're arguing with someone who is just dumb, yeah, that might be kind of like an easy win for you, right? In terms of just the argument. But if you're arguing with someone who is going to flip flop on their position as quickly as they're going to make it, there's no you're attacking so many different types of argument so fucking quickly. It just gets unbearable. Like there's no
Yeah. Well, I haven't looked into this, so I would love I would love for them to do polls of Trumpers and see where they stand now after this, because I talked to my dad earlier today, right? And my dad's been a solid Trumper for since the beginning. We stopped talking for a period of time over the shit, right? And he was like literally like fuck Trump today, and it blew me. It was like what? So I'd be interested, because I know we hear the vocal people, and you have your grifting politicians and you have your grifters like Tommy Lauren here and Candace Owens and Rubin and all them. But I wonder how many of the normal Trump voters that have been supported up to this point are like, I just can't anymore. Like that's just too much. I think that there's got to be a lot of those people, and I think that this could be the end of Trump. Like even if he doesn't get indicted and he tries to run again, I think that this is going to open it up for DeSantis, and I think DeSantis scares me more. I really do. I think DeSantis is going to win now, and that scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, I think that like there's going to be an awful lot of people who are just like your dad, who are going to hear about this and are going to be like, nope, fuck Trump, and we're going to steer clear. But you're also your normies, your swing voters, your people who are not interested.
People in the middle,
like the kind of average people who are not too interested in politics. They hear bits and pieces, but it's not their kind of bread and butter, we'll say. It's those people who are going to, like, I think a lot of them are going to be like, well, where there's smoke there's fire, so possibly. I genuinely think that there's going to be an awful lot of like I think that if Trump is nominated again, I don't think he has a chance of getting reelected. I genuinely don't. And
I think they know that, because if you notice that's what they're saying now. Well, now you just elected the next president of the United States. This raid is the reason now. Like, no, I think that you got it wrong there, and you're scared and you're afraid, and you're trying to do what Trump did, tell people both like, there's no way he can get elected now. I don't think, he'll get 13% of the vote, right? Like he'll get that 13% of those QAnon crazies that we see on Twitter. But I want to hope that even after this has got to be the last straw for most people. I mean, at this point, if it's not, I don't think I can think you're sane anymore. Like you've got to be just fucking crazy.
Yeah, like I just, again, look, it's just total and complete fucking hypocrisy. If you even consider voting for Trump again after all of this has happened, and you still want to go out there and chant law and order, like it's not that that I think that, okay, it's not that I think that stupid people shouldn't be allowed to vote, but there's been an argument. It's been proposed. This has been said before, where access to a voting booth should be like guarded by an IQ test. And I'm not opposed to it, but fucking it help. Jesus Christ. Because it's just like, how can you possibly say you are still in favor of law and order if you then go out and unironically vote for Trump? You just can't. It's the most basic, obvious. Nah.
I agree. Like, I think 15 years ago, I would have been like totally, without a doubt, no, you can't do that. I mean, everybody should have the right to vote.
Yeah.
I mean, we look at what they did to black folk for so long, and with the quote unquote reading test that they had, where it was basically an impossible test that nobody could pass. But like now that we live in this post-truth era, now I think that I don't know. Like, I don't think that I can say definitively yes or no if I'd be for it, because I think there'd be really good arguments for both.
Yeah. No, look, it's definitely not a fucking, it's not a flawless idea.
Yeah,
but
I'd consider it.
Yeah, but literally just the fact that people would actually consider it, I don't know. Anyway, we've got about 30 seconds left of this, and then we have one more thing to look at. So let's power through.
If these snakes think this raid, this hit job on Trump is going to somehow make his supporters turn against him, well, they are as stupid as we thought. This is only going to cause the MAGA movement to dig in deeper. We aren't going anywhere, so strap yourselves in and hold on for the ride. From Nashville, God bless and take care.
Okay, well, that was awful. I mean, your father literally fucking proved her wrong in the last statement that she made there. So, yeah.
The cognitive dissonance